Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Michaela Peters. I'm going to try to get through a video that is slightly focused, even though I don't feel very focused at all. So today's a very nice day. We're finally getting up to like almost 30 degrees here. This is the only time this really happens in Finland, is in July. My computer is also conveniently dying, and then I charge it in the kitchen. So we're going to see how far we can really get in this and try to get through this thing without it like randomly deleting, which could happen. I'm obviously still not at the hospital yet. Most babies are overdue, so like that would make sense. It's really awkward because people just keep repeatedly texting me and being like, what's happening? And I'm like, literally nothing. I'm not even having like these Braxton Hicks contractions, or they could be happening to me, but I don't know because I don't know what they really feel like. Okay, which is common with like your first pregnancy. So anyway, all of that, and I'm still here. That's my point. I started this channel about me in Finland that's actually growing pretty rapidly, and so I'm really trying to structure like what that's going to keep looking like, and it might be more of me just trying to practice Finnish because I think that's like important at this point and helpful, and I kind of have time for it. It's also really interesting, like, I got the house clean, but then it's getting more disorganized because in general, I'm not an organized person. I'm just a clean person. So, like, I will move stuff around to clean it, but then getting stuff out of the way is a separate situation. Okay, so also trying to keep track of how much battery I have to try to get through this. But anyway, the long irrelevant interlude is now going to tie up in, I kind of want to talk about taxes because, I don't like talking about politics, but apparently taxes are politics. And the part that I want to talk about with this, okay, and this might be a little bit frozen because the computer likes to do weird things at this point, and I've been very kind of anti-computer because I'm not working, so I don't have to be sitting on a computer. Also, I'm at a point where sitting like in chairs for long periods of time is like physically painful, so moving around and like literally walking around and all that stuff is like a lot more helpful, which is probably good for inducing the labor, but whatever. Anyway, so taxes. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because I started thinking about how this is like such a different concept in other countries versus in Finland, and I'm not sure I really want to put this on the Me in Finland channel yet because I'm not sure it's going to be a popular opinion, so I'm going to kind of experiment with it here. But basically, something that I think is very difficult about the whole tax situation is that I think Finnish people are like the only people in the world who I have met who are like, we love taxes. We love paying our taxes. And I understand that the concept behind this is people are very like, they feel like they're getting a lot for their taxes. They feel very like privileged that they don't have to worry about things that people in most other countries have to worry about. And I keep thinking about this quote, and this was said in Russian, and I'm going to translate it, but it's like my one friend in Armenia, he's like, I think that avoiding taxes is a type of international sport. And I'm like, yeah. So like most people in most countries are not like trying to pay a lot in taxes. They're just like, I'm going to pay what I have to pay, and beyond that, I don't want to pay more. Whereas I think in Finland, people are very like, oh, yes, let's pay our taxes so that we get all these benefits out of them. And, it's funny because I was discussing yesterday with my friend, like, and we're making, let's say, roughly the same salary. And she's like, well, I take home this much. And I'm like, I don't take home that much. How do you take home that much? And I'm like, oh, right, you're in Texas and I'm in New Jersey. So those are different things, too. So the states that, Texas is its own country. That's a joke. The states that tend to have better welfare programs are actually also the states that have higher taxes, which naturally that is like exactly how that works. So, it's just like, it's interesting because it's like, being in this position where I'm like, I don't think I would feel so strongly about like not wanting to pay more in taxes if like living situations in the US were not as complicated as they are. And, talking to my one roommate yesterday where he's just, I guess I have one roommate. He's like, why don't you just like bite the bullet and just get a job in Finland? I'm like, I don't want to move to Helsinki. It's like the recurring conversation. And then he's like, well, you don't have to. I'm like, but I'm not going to be able to get a job here that is going to be able to pay the living costs that I have racked up in the US that I can't exactly get rid of. I was like, unless I threw everything in a storage unit. I also, like, it's the kind of, like, what's broke, don't fix it thing, and if I like my job, like, I'm pretty apprehensive to switch to a different job. I have talked about this, like, more times on here than I can count. But, yeah, anyway, the point is, like, I started kind of, like, surveying random other people from random other countries and being like, do people in your countries, like paying taxes? And they're like, no. So it's very interesting to me, like, that whole concept. I'm not even really sure that it's that much deeper than that, to be honest. This may basically be the end of the video, especially because my computer's gonna die. But yeah, like people just like don't like paying taxes in most places except for Finland, and it's just like a very interesting concept. The other thing is I kind of understand, or from what I hear, is like when your salary starts getting so high in Finland, like your tax rate is so high that it doesn't really make sense like to keep marginally getting paid more. Whereas in the US, like that disparity is a lot larger, and it would like kind of majorly change like your quality of life, let's say. Whereas here, the quality of life disparity is not big, but in the US it is. So I think that might be where the tax thing comes down to, because most people are working class and struggling in the US, whereas people here are also working class but not struggling. So, I don't know. But I'm sure people have opinions on this that they can share, and I'm not going to get too into it because, again, taxes are politics, but that will be it for today. And I'm still here. So, until next time, bye.